November 12th, 2020 Daily Math Review. There were 35 children and 10 adults at a cookout. Part A. Write a ratio comparison statement for the amount of adults to children at the cookout. Alright, so let's take a look here. I'm actually going to add in some circles. So we're going to have adults to children in this case. Let's see. So I am... Alright, so, my apologies. Alright, let's take a look at the first one. So we have adults to children. So adults, I'm going to highlight that, to children at the cookout. I'll highlight that in green. It also says write a ratio comparison statement. So that means we're going to write for every blank there are blank. So I know that for every blank there are blank. So the first one, adults to children. So how many adults were there? Well, it says 35 children and 10 adults. So 10 adults. So for every 10 adults, there are blank. So how many children? 35 children. So 35 children. For every 10 adults, there are 35 children. All right, let's take a look at part B over here. Write the ratio of children to total people at the cookout in 3 different ways. So we're just going to write the ratio in 3 different ways. In this case, it's going to be the ratio of children to the total people. So children, I had that in green. Let's keep that in green. To the total amount of people. So to the total amount of people. I will put that in blue. Alright, so children. First of all, it says 35 children. So 35 35 children to, I'm going to do that TO for word form first. The total people. So if there's 35 children and 10 adults. If you add 35 and 10, you get 45. So the total amount of people at the cookout is 45. Remember, that's if you add 35 plus 10 to get the total amount of people. So that's one way we can write it with the words. We can also write it with the colon, so 35 with that colon, 45. We can also write it with a fraction, 35 with a fraction of 45. Awesome, there's our 3 ways. Okay, so let's take a look at part C. If 5 more children attend the cookout, what is the ratio of children to total people at the cookout? So ratio of children to the total people. So we just did children to total people, but in this case, it said we need to figure out what that ratio would be if 5 more children attend. So it says if 5 more children attended the cookout. So I'm going to mark that in red and bold that. So if 5 more children attended, okay, so right now we have 35 children. If 5 more attended, we'd have 40 children, right? So we'd have 40 children instead of that 35. So if 5 more children attend, the ratio would be 40 to, well, how many total people would there be if there were 5 more children? So we're going to have to add 10, or 5, oh, I'm sorry. We're going to have to add 10 to that 40. So 40 plus 10 is going to be 50. So if you add 5 more children, you're only going to add that children, the 35 plus 5 is 40. So then the total people, if there were 40 children then, and 10 adults, you'd add those 2 together. So your answer would be 40 to 50. I am going to make that a little bigger because that was a little bit more tricky. But other than that, great job. And that's it for our DMR.